Testing.
Testing. Mic check 1 2. Sound good?
Testicular difficulties.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead on and run to the restroom.
Searching for a paradise. I see you looking. The way you look, I know you fly free. Cause I got time and you got time. And I've been waiting to see what you do today. And we had something that I thought I'd never see. And they could keep looking for a love like you and me.
I clap cheeks like athletes. I slap ass, now I'm key. Peeling back insecurities and impurities, unlocking doors thought to be closed forever. Providing pleasure or pressure depending on the reason for the connection and the measures we go to get them. It's all about the intentions and the consent and the constant communication, and I often say this, words of affirmation, just something to make it make sense. To be continued. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Dom Experience Podcast, brought to you by the R.A.R.E Media Network. I am Dominus, and this is
Cinnamon Vixen. Welcome back.
Oh man, welcome back. I missed y'all. I missed everybody. It's been a couple of weeks.
We took a summer break.
Summer
sabbatical.
A summer sabbatical, if you will.
We've been here virtually, but not here physically in New Orleans.
Indeed.
But before we talk a little bit about that,
I was about to go ahead on.
We got to check in.
All right, go ahead.
And this question goes out to everyone, not just us. As usual, and just like we do before any session or scene, how is your mind?
My mind is honestly, my mind is a couple of places right now, but it's currently doing its best to be right here, right now.
My mind is a little bit similar. Things keep shifting on my planner, and it will not allow me to move with as much ease as I would like to today.
Yeah.
But that's okay. So my mind is a little bit on that while trying to be present at the same time. My heart is full. There's a lot of love surrounding me, as I think Monica would say. But it feels good. How's your heart?
My heart is also full. Also feel surrounded by love. It's also Mush Month.
Oh yeah, it is Mush Month.
So, you know, I've been feeling a little bit of that love already. Really, it started a little early. The road trip was partially a Mush Month type of thing.
What is Mush Month? For the folks who don't know.
For those of you who don't know, Mush Month is something this guy created for me back when we first met to like kind of celebrate me and my birthday, because I've talked to her about, you know, several years of like my birthday just being like kind of to me, especially like I never really had a birthday party at one point in time in my life. I don't eat birthday cake, so it was never like a thing to have, that type of thing.
Can I tag in?
Go ahead.
So when he told me about that, me being the very enthusiastic, submissive that I was becoming to him at that time, got really excited, especially because I really like planning things for people and like coming up with presents. And so it gave me an opportunity to give a little bit of service and gift-oriented submission to my dom at the time, now partner in love. And so I planned, once he told me that he hadn't had like a big birthday celebration type thing, an entire month that I called Mush Month of just things and experiences and expressions of love. And this is now like the 5th. Is this the 5th?
Like, yeah, I think so.
This is the 5th Mush Month. And it has not just been a me and him thing for the past couple of years. It is an opportunity for all of those who love on Dominus to shower him with love. So feel free to join in the Mush Month fun, whether that be a word or a thing, or just sharing in the spaces that we create. But anyway, your heart,
yes,
you were saying,
surrounded by love
and mush,
and just excited to, you know, approach that new year.
Nice.
So that's where my heart at.
My spirit is it's in a tug of war with my flesh. Like, I kind of refuse to accept the abundance that is in my life spiritually. Like, my spirit is so abundant that my body is like, whoa, what's this? That's not what the Matrix said it's supposed to be. So I'm reconciling that. How's your spirit?
I'm something like that. I had a realization Monday that I had been pouring a lot of myself out to a lot of different places, and even though I still had a lot of energy, I didn't realize how tired I was, because a lot of the energy I had spiritually was not going where it needed to be. Like, I wasn't meditating properly. I was doing some type of meditation, but it wasn't the one I committed to. What else? I just haven't been outside in nature like I wanted to. I spent a little bit of time in the backyard. I've been spending a little bit of time on the front porch, but it wasn't until the road trip I got a chance to get back to nature and fill myself up for real.
Nice.
And so my spirit feels renewed, if that makes sense.
That's good. That's good. I was going to say, in a similar vein, now that I've gotten home, I realized how much I have neglected my like altar space and my sacred spaces. So today, I've been very slowly tiptoeing back into my personal spiritual spaces. Like, pardon me, sorry ancestors, I'm going to clean this up and fix the things. And I'm glad that the universe is gracious with me in that. How your body be?
My body crashed on me Monday. Like, literally to the point where I was like, whoa, why do I have this backache? Why do I have this like upper and lower backache. Why does my arm feel this? Why does it like? Why do I feel like I'm like coming down with the flu almost?
Right.
And then I went to sleep at like 4 or 5 o'clock. And then I woke up the next day feeling like a brand new person. So my body now feels somewhat, you know, rested. But I could use a little bit more rest. And I think my body just wants to get as much rest as it can. But I got a pretty busy couple months coming up. So I'm going to just have to work on that balance.
The same thing that happened to you on Monday happened to me like Friday and Saturday or like Sunday, where I was like, wait, my body feels like it is actively fighting me.
Yeah.
And I thought that by giving myself a week of rest, I would be rested by the end of it.
Yeah.
And like almost the exact opposite happened, where I was actually more tired by the weekend. I think our bodies just needed to be back in our beds.
Yeah, for sure.
We got a lot of rest and also did a lot of things.
Yes.
While on the trip.
It was a lot of energy being burned and or you know, it wasn't draining or anything like that, but it was just like, you know, hopping through 4 different time zones and then coming back home to just going straight back to it.
Right.
So it's like we never really like we needed a little bit of a vacation from the vacation and we didn't really get that.
Right. So, some folks have been answering the questions in the behind the scenes. I pose the same questions to those who are watching either on our YouTube stream or on our behind the scenes. How are you? Let us check in. How is your mind? How is your body? How is your spirit? How is your heart? And like we said, these are the same things that we like to ask anybody that we're working with, whether it's a healing session or a Dom session. Anyway, so
speaking of which, my dime hand itching.
His dime hand is itching. So I'm gonna give you an opportunity to answer those questions in either of these threads.
I'm gonna drink some water.
We're gonna take a quick breath and some water and listen to a little bit of a song, and we will be right back. This is the Dom Experience podcast presented by R.A.R.E Media. We will see you in a second. Welcome back to the Dom Experience podcast, presented by R.A.R.E Media. I am Cinnamon Vixen.
I am Dominus.
And we're back.
Welcome back.
From our summer sabbatical and from our opportunity to check in and see how you're doing. We went on a whole ass road trip.
A whole ass road trip.
And some people had the pleasures of following it through our Instagram story and then mostly through your Instagram story. But if they're following me, they didn't get too much of a idea of what was going on. And I think we did so much stuff that I don't really know if people know what happened. They just know we traveled kind of across the country.
Not kind of.
Across the country. And visited every time zone twice, at least. So yeah. First off, why do we go on a road trip? Because you were the impetus for this thing.
Well, it's been a while. I've been wanting to take a road trip from New Orleans to Los Angeles.
At least 3 years.
At least 3 years. Maybe even longer than that. And so that was the initial thing. And then we recently, like in 2019, right before the pandemic, we did a train ride from New Orleans to LA. And the views.
2020.
It was
2020 for our anniversary.
It was 2020. Mm-hmm. I keep wanting that to be right before the pandemic, but right before the pandemic was 2020. Mm-hmm. February of 2020, we went on a train ride to LA. And it was just such a beautiful ride. And then there was like a Salton Sea I had saw. It was like this beautiful, like in the middle of the desert ass lake with big ass mountain backdrop. And I was on a train and I saw that. I was like, "Ooh, what's that? I gotta go."
So I looked it up on my maps and I was like, "Oh, it's the Salton Sea."
Right. And then so I was like, "Yeah, I gotta get there." And so that was like the even more driving force me to get there. But we was in the pandemic at the time, so I ain't go nowhere, so to speak. I mean,
looking back
I went
at
a few
it,
places, but
we love road trips. Like looking back on it, we love road trips, and that was probably the safest way to travel during the pandemic.
And we didn't do it.
My brain did not conceive of it as an option.
I mean, I thought about it, but
my brain would have had to conceive of it as an option for us to leave the house.
You was also somewhere else in the beginning of the road trip.
You right.
You were grieving, and
I was grieving in the beginning of the pandemic. Anyway,
so
we put this trip on the back burner.
So we put that trip on the back burner then until this year,
in which Dominus just so happened to have a chunk of time off from work.
Yeah, I had a lot of time off from school.
Where I also, unlike the beginning of the pandemic, work for myself completely and thus make my own schedule. And so we made plans to do this road trip, and we knew that it was going to happen, and we knew that we were going on it, and we did not know exactly how it was going to happen, but we knew that we were doing it. And Dominus
living on
a prayer for real. And Dominus had some spots that he wanted to visit. And so I think part of what made this trip so good is that like you were the dream maker and the driver.
Yeah.
And I was the co-captain and logistics manager. So how we actually physically got to where we got was his job, and how we like actually were able to rest and have some place safe to stay and or know what the timeline was. Mostly was like I was
kind of watching the time too.
Yeah, was me. So we will probably wax poetic about this more in other ways and in other spaces, but
it's like really our first time processing.
We left New Orleans on the 9th. On the 9th. We went from New Orleans to a stop in Houston, thanks to a friend's family. We stopped in also, why can't I remember the name?
It was like Winnie, Texas.
Winnie, Texas for some Dairy Queen. Then we stopped
not for a Dairy Queen. We was dropping off something to some family there, to somebody that owns a Dairy Queen.
You know, This is the long story short version. We stopped at Winnie.
But that's like nobody stops at Winnie for Dairy Queen.
That is exactly why I was originally stopping, and then my dad gave me another task to do too, just to make sure we actually stopped at Winnie. And then we stopped in Houston. It's to spend time with another one of our dear friends who also dearly fed us. And then our first rest stop was in Austin. We stayed in McKinney State Falls.
Oh, I love that park.
For the night, we went to Hippie Hollow in the morning and spent some time nude on their beach. And
it was so relaxing. Oh my God, and beautiful.
Beat the heat a little bit more, and then again called it a night so that we could prepare for the rest of this road trip into the unknown parts of the trip. So we went from Austin to Big Bend National Park in Texas.
So beautiful.
After spending a night in Big Bend National Park, we went to White Sands National Park.
Well, we didn't spend the night at Big Bend.
We did not, but this is like the pit stop version. This is you trying to go into longer details.
All right.
Of the thing.
All right. I just was trying to be specific.
Okay, we went to Big Bend, spent the day in Big Bend, and then spent the night in Terlingua.
Yeah. We didn't spend the night at Big Bend. It was a whole nother spot in a beautiful ass star cabin.
Point is, we left Terlingua, went to White Sands, spent the night at White Sands, and then spent the night at Oliver Lee Memorial Park near White Sands.
We did.
We then left White Sands and went to Tucson, where we spent the night at a friend of mine from a middle and high school who now is an amazing rope person. We had a rope workshop with them. What?
I was just wondering, like, why did every time you go to talk about a family or friend, your voice goes like...
Because it hits me in my heart chakra, which is a higher tone.
I was just wondering. It's cool. Keep going. I'm not judging you. I'm laughing.
We spent time with our friend, had an impromptu rope workshop, which you might have seen. I got suspended in an upline by my leg. It was great. We left Tucson and went to where?
We went Tucson to the Salton Sea.
To the Salton Sea, and thankfully did not spend the night at the Salton Sea.
Boy, that was hot.
We found out once we got there that it was
and toxic,
hot as hell. And also, though the Salton Sea is big when you are driving past it on a train and takes up a whole lot of space, the Salton Sea is also full of the toxic water due to lots of pollution and runoff, agricultural waste, etc.
And it smells like bird
and
shit.
It smells. And the animals that are over there are not happy about it. And so we spent all of 10 minutes max.
It's beautiful. I swear to God, it's so pretty.
And then we continued to LA where
it's so pretty, but
we
it's
spent the night.
Toxic.
By then it was the 15th. John performed on the 15th.
I performed on the 15th.
And then we got a little bit of sleep before flying to DC on the 16th. Where, if you were following me, you saw that we had the flight from hell. Trying to get to see DC at 3 o'clock. We instead got there at 11 p.m. After the flight from hell and the Uber ride from hell.
Fly American if you have to.
Yeah.
Not on purpose.
We spent time with my side of the family and a little bit of a reunion. For my uncle's birthday. I was there as a surprise, and so it's a lot harder to surprise someone when everybody's trying to wait for 11 o'clock p.m. Before they can leave. I digress. We stayed in D.C. for another day and then left that Monday to come back to L.A., where we started our trip back home. We stopped in Vegas, spent 2 nights in Vegas, my first time. We then went to Albuquerque.
Grand Canyon.
Oh yeah, we went to Grand Canyon. Spent the night at the Grand Canyon. Amazing experience. Oh my God. I spent most of the time saying wow. All of the day just saying wow.
That's really all you can really say.
Over and over.
I almost died in my head.
Yep. Went to Albuquerque where we spent some time with a family friend. And then went from Albuquerque through the shortest part of Texas to Oklahoma City, where we were hosted by a burlesque friend of mine. Shout out to Bessie. And then we drove down to Dallas, where I stayed in my big sister's house while she drove to New Orleans. And then Houston and home, which was actually the longest stretch of our road trip. And in my opinion, the least enjoyable. It is the only time that we got to where we needed to go way after sundown. The exception, of course, being the flight from hell in DC. And we made it home. What day did we? I don't even know what day we made it home, but it was late.
Made it home Monday night at 11.
Last Monday night
at 11:11.
He says it was 11:11.
I only know that because my goddess had text at 11:11.
There we go. We made it home at 11:11 last Monday, and now we are here.
That was crazy.
Trying to recover.
It was perfect.
It was, and then John had to go to work on Wednesday, and I work for myself, and so it was my
I had to
rest
cut
week.
the grass on Tuesday.
You did have to cut the grass on Tuesday. I had to go to a workshop on Tuesday and then back on the grind. So yeah, we have been R.A.R.E, but also had an amazing experience. And I guess to recap, if you had to pick one spot that we went to share now that you enjoyed.
To share now that I enjoyed?
Yes. It doesn't have to be your top one because I know it's hard to pick the top.
I'm going to share one that we didn't talk about that I feel was very significant for me.
Okay.
And that is the Petrified Forest.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if y'all familiar with that, but it's this like forest that essentially they mummified the trees basically with crystals. It's like that's the best way I can say it. The trees, instead of rotting, they ended up getting fossilized by like basically
being buried under
basically
rock.
Quartz. So it's like these beautiful, sparkly tree branches and stems and stumps and just all over scattered throughout this desert mountainous region. And the energy there is just like supercharged. Like the sun was like right there beaming, so everything was just like supercharged from the sun. And I'm one of them tree huggers, right? And so they had like a big old flat, big old tree stump, huge. Like these trees were huge when they were alive back then. Like since the dinosaurs, it was like dinosaur trees basically. And I hugged that doggone tree, and I can't even tell you how much energy I felt into my body on that day. And it's just like it did something to me that I'm still feeling the effects from, and I'm trying to find my way and how to navigate and use that energy to my best ability. So yeah, shout out to the Petrified Forest. If you've never been there, I encourage everybody to take a trip there. It's a lot of open space, a lot of mountains. Bring water. It's hot. The sun is there. If you're not a fan of like rocks and crystals, it won't be something you enjoy visually, but spiritually, if you connect with the earth, that is a spot you should go with your life for you at one point in your life.
Yep.
That and a Grand Canyon.
At some point in time, I'm also going to be sharing on my platforms like how we did this and like how it broke down. The long story short of it too is that community was a big part of how we did this. Thanks to everybody who supported us leaving New Orleans for the month and who helped get this car and these
3
gas.
flat tires right before we left.
We had 3 flat tires right before we left. We had a battery that needed to be changed that could not be changed at AutoZone. Like none of the batteries would work at AutoZone except my battery that was breaking down. And then once I finally drove it to Toyota to fix the problem, it shut down officially at Toyota. So there was no leaving Toyota unless they fixed the battery anyway.
Wild. Everything could have been against us. We could have gave up, but we still went.
Yeah. Again, this was a trip on faith and prayers, and we were definitely living on a prayer.
And look, the car was perfect the entire time.
Yeah, we didn't have not one problem with this car until the day after we touched back down to New Orleans.
And
then one of the tires slow leaked.
The tire is slow leaking again. We got another one.
And like
they got buku nails around our house.
We
man.
used exactly
you
what,
can't see 'em.
like the 5,000 miles that you need before your next oil change is exactly what we like.
Yeah, we did. We did
right before we got home. Like so,
we did the mileage and everything. Everything's just added up perfectly.
The oil. Like it was.
We can't even make this up.
It was every disappointment.
This story would probably be in the Bible if they made a new one.
Everything that I thought could have been a disappointment, we just kind of kept flowing and going with, and it worked out even better than it could have.
Yeah.
For instance, we were supposed to spend the night in the Salton Sea, and there were no campgrounds available for us to stay in the Salton Sea that had an electrical hookup. And
thank God.
Right.
Oh
and thankfully, one of our friends booked us an Airbnb for 2 nights just because. Like, she asked what we needed and or wanted, and I was like, food, gas, a place to stay, or inexpensive ways to get those things. She was like, well, you want this Airbnb? And I was like, yeah. So we spent the night in LA, and thankfully that was the case, because when we stepped out of the car at the Salton Sea, it was way too hot for that. It was way too hot for that. And there are many more people to thank, and so I'm not even going to attempt to do it by name. My note of import from the road trip as far as location, I was thinking about it a little bit while you were talking. And I mean, I spent a lot of time saying wow with the Grand Canyon, but honestly, my highlight was finally getting to DC, to my uncle's house, and like finally getting to see it, because it's been I haven't seen my mom's side of the family since my grandmother's funeral right before the pandemic. So to be able to join, one, be able to surprise my uncle, 2, be able to realize how much I'm surrounded by love by my family, 3, be able to eat some good mangoes and some like food that makes me feel at home, and 4, to like reconnect with family and like do things that I can only do with that side of the family, made it such that my spirit didn't really register that it was the airplane ride from hell. Like I think my body just tuned out all the trauma that I could have experienced being on a plane for 4 hours. Because we were on the plane for 4 hours before we took off, right?
We was literally stuck on the plane.
I have to keep asking him.
You know how they say, oh, your group can board the plane now, and you like, you get excited to get on the plane because you about to, with the plane don't go nowhere. That boy, we were sitting on that thing for 4 hours. It was just right there. And then when we get in the sky, they tell us we can't land, so we gotta fly in the air for another 2-3 hours, circling. And then they say, oh,
we gotta land at a different airport.
We gotta land at a different airport because we about to run out of gas.
And then we landed and we couldn't get off the plane because the airport was so short staffed that there was nobody to help us taxi to our gate, to pull out the jetway.
So when we land in the other airport, we stuck on there for another hour because there's nobody there to take us off the plane.
And by then we were like, we're getting off once we get there, because we have our book bags and it's a longer trip, but we can Uber there, and I'm not staying on the plane, because they didn't know when it was going to get refueled, but they knew that once it was able to get refueled, they were flying back to the airport that we were supposed to land at. And that was not an option because it was already like 8:30 p.m., 9 o'clock. That flight did not make it to its destination until 3:53 p.m. the next day. I don't know what they did. I have no idea if they put them in hotels. I have no idea what happened. I just know we couldn't have stayed on that plane any longer.
We just got on that was $100 Uber?
Yeah, the original one was like $137.
Yeah.
And then they tried to play games, and then the next one canceled us, and then the third one didn't know where we were going, and so he accepted it, and then
he took 2 wrong exits.
He missed exits because I think he was falling asleep while driving or just zoning out. And during the daytime, my uncle's house is like nestled a little bit in the country in Maryland from DC. And it's beautiful to get there in the daytime. At night, there are no lights and country winding roads. You can't miss exits. You can't be missing exits. So when I realized he missed the second exit, I had to backseat drive for him while staring at both of our navigation systems.
But we made it.
And yet, for some reason, my body's just like, yeah.
We made it.
I mean, I'm grateful to whatever protections made me not freak out, other than the crying I did.
I keep saying to myself, the worst part about the road trip wasn't even the road trip; it was the flight.
I had two worst parts, but.
What's your second one out?
Border Patrol.
Oh yeah. But
bruh.
Yeah, boy, we ran through
6 different Border Patrol checkpoints in the course of a day and a half.
We had about 7 different checkpoints.
And I asked people when we left Austin, and everybody was like, nah, there's not really no Border Patrol.
Not on I-10.
I-10, but we forgot the fact that we kept getting off to go to national parks off of I-10. And so...
No, they got 2 on I-10.
Which is close to the border.
But off of I-10, they got like 7.
Because Big Bend National Park is right on the border. Like, there's another national park in Mexico
that's connected to Big Bend.
They have a partnership because the Rio Grande just, goes through both of them. And so Border Patrol is like right there, of course, because the river and the border is right there. White Sands, very close to the same thing. We have to pass through a big checkpoint before you can get to the national park, because there's a whole missile range there and we're near the border. 6 different times. And I don't care what's going on. Like, we were good, but Border Patrol does not make me, it's not something I'm happy about having to go through.
Anybody that be like, open your trunk.
Anybody that's like, wind down your back window because we want to make sure nobody's in there. And then can you open your trunk? With my skin complexion, just makes me feel nervous. So 6 different Border Patrols had my nervous system flushed.
Oddly enough, the last one was like, good morning. Y'all go ahead.
He literally opened the door, said, good morning. We said good morning, and he waved us through. And that was the end of it.
Yeah, we never ran into one again because we didn't go I-10.
We took I-40 back. I was not going to Texas. I'm tired. I was tired by the time we got to New Mexico. We gonna have to find some other way back, which is perfect because we had other destinations.
Can I, before we go on break real quick, talk about that one moment I got thought I was about to die?
Sure.
So I'm not.
Yeah.
So I'm not one to be afraid of heights or anything like that. Like at the Grand Canyon, I was sitting at the edge with my feet dangling, right? But when I got into the car to like drive back from our campground, I kept stopping at all of the different little lookouts, right? They had this one particular lookout that's deceiving. So I made the right, and like I'm driving, I'm like, all right, cool, I'm about to go to this lookout. But it's like a winding turn, so you can't really see what's happening. And so it looks trees here, it's trees here, and everything looks straight. But the more further you go up, you go to realize it's canyon on this side, it's canyon on this side, and it ain't got no barrier. So I'm in this thin ass room. And I'm looking like, holy shit. And I freaked out. And I was like,
it's like 5:00 in the morning. The sun is coming up. He's driving.
Like the sun coming up, it's like real foggy. And I'm like,
and I look up, and this man is straddling the middle.
I'm in the middle. It's like a two
lane.
It's a 2-lane. I was like, nah, I'm riding in the middle.
Winding road. And I look up and freak out for a different reason than he freaks out. He's freaking out because the canyon's on both sides, and he's not getting in his lane because he doesn't want to drive off the canyon. I'm like, you can't see around this corner. They can't see around this corner.
I was like, nah, ain't nobody here this early.
In the middle of the
I was like, ain't nobody here this early. We the only fools riding right now for the whole time. I'm about to drive in the middle because my first mind was to back up, but I was like, I'm not about to back up.
To back up down the canyon,
a curvy canyon with no barriers. So I went all the way to the top. Got to the top. I was like, hell, I'm gonna get out now because it was a beautiful view. I got the view. It was worth it. But the drive down was easier because I done already went up it. But boy, when I tell y'all going up, it was the scariest drive I've ever made in my life. And I'm not afraid of heights, but in a car, I don't feel in control.
This trip for us like felt really much like a dream and pretty easeful. But when I think about like the parameters of it, it also seems a little crazy. Like we drove through a lot of mountains.
A lot of mountains. It was, oh my God.
It was
everything
anywhere
was so beautiful.
From 104 to 117 degrees, wherever, because we're driving through the desert.
Thank God for the air conditioning.
Yeah, like
I was driving with my shirt on
we
most
can't
of the time.
like we didn't stay in hotels for our road trip. We like picked campsites on the route, partially because they're inexpensive and partially because we like nature and wanted to be in it.
Yeah.
So instead of like spending the night at a rest
Like,
stop,
spending the night at the Grand Canyon
where we
was
gotta
crazy.
stay awake, we could just park in a campsite and sleep in the car or sleep in a tent.
Yeah, we got the tent in the trunk.
We had the tent in the trunk. We learned about not leaving the windows open when you can't
Yeah, bugs, man.
camp at night. It was wild but so easeful.
It was really easy. It was way easier than I ever thought it would be, honestly. It was like so easy that I want to drive everywhere now. So I'm definitely going to drive to Colorado, driving to the Florida Keys. I might take a trip to New York. I done already rode in a car to New York before, but I might drive there. No? Chicago?
Yes.
All right.
Chicago.
I want to go to Oregon.
New York. Oregon, maybe. Yes.
Portland. But if we go to Portland, we got to stop at San Francisco.
So yeah, obviously this is not our last road trip. We have all types of tips and tricks to share. I will be sharing some of them.
Yeah.
And if you got some questions about the road trip, again, slide in our inbox or ask us. I mean, if you ask us in our inbox, we'll actually be able to answer it without it disappearing.
We're going to take some people on some of the road trips. That'll make it even easier.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody about this too. It depends. Like, we were perfectly fit together for this road trip.
Well, yeah, because of where we chose to accommodate and things like that.
Well, just because of the way we vibe. Like, yeah.
True. That's true, too.
Right. So we got to do a little bit of vetting before we go
Oh,
on this
hell
road trip.
yeah. I mean, I'm not just saying, oh, hey, let's go on a road trip. Everybody and their mama, and I only really know how they ride.
Yeah. Because we move with ease.
Yeah. Yeah.
Through no matter what.
For sure.
I don't know how many people would be able to last on an 8-hour plane flight from hell.
See, they wasn't going to come on that if they was coming.
But you got to be able to have that type of...
Oh, yeah, that go with the flow.
That type of go with the flow, which
Yeah.
I did not have when we first met. Thank God for
You're welcome.
But yeah, so...
Break?
Yes.
Time to break.
We're going to take a quick breath, drink some water. Dom Experience Podcast presented by R.A.R.E Media. Be right back. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
To the Dom Experience Podcast, presented by R.A.R.E Media. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, I'm really excited about this little thing I got in Navajo Nation that I wanted for a very long time. It's an octopus. I've called we're not going to talk about the name, but it's happy on this side and angry on this side. So when John comes in the room in the morning, when I've first woken up and I'm grumpy, he can now tell what vibe I'm in and thus how to proceed, because he's with a Scorpio and I'm mean in the mornings. So yeah, you look a little traumatized about that.
I'm not traumatized,
but
just I don't know, you know,
we
going
just,
with the flu.
That is true. We just got back from an amazing road trip, which we could talk about all day, and we have talked about it a lot.
I might write a book about it.
And now we're back. So what's up now that we're back?
Now that we're back in the swing of things. What we got coming up? I think it's just church announcement time at this point.
Yeah, church announcement time. If you've missed us, you have an opportunity to catch up with us in various ways.
It's my birthday month.
It is his birthday month.
That's a reminder.
There are some celebrations happening. You can join in the Mush Month festivities. If you want to join in the Mush Month festivities and don't know how, slide in my DMs at Cinnamon Vixen and we'll work it out. I'm the Mush Month coordinator. Anyway, this week, Friday, I will be at Royal Sonesta for Ballroom Burlesque. Saturday, during the daytime,
I will be hosting the Stop the Violence youth bike ride, starting on Canal Street. If you follow my Instagram, it has the flyer. It tells you the exact location of where it will be, where it starts at. So I'll be kind of hosting different things throughout the day for that. And then that night,
I will be performing in Afro Exotica over at the Ace Hotel. It starts at 9. It is free with an RSVP, so you could
it's gonna be a good show.
I mean, it's gonna be an amazing show. It's an all black burlesque show. There's going to be live drumming. There's going to be DJing. It's gonna be a really good time. So bring your tips, get a good drink, and hang out.
Have a good time.
And then Sunday,
I'll be working sound
over at Opulence Hour at
Opulence Hour at the Maison.
And we have a little rope date earlier in the day.
A little rope action happening.
If you want some rope action,
but that ain't for them.
He's the man to see.
Yes, if you want rope action, if you want anything, because I just got for Mush Month a new application for a dime session, so I've been itching to use it. So if you're interested in a session, holla at me.
Yep. You can slide in our DMs, let us know who you're trying to get a session from, or if it's both of us, and we'll send you the appropriate forms and applications.
Speaking of dime stuff, the experience is back, and it's August 20th, and tickets are now on sale.
Yep.
This time it's going to be an earlier show, but a longer show. So it starts at 6. It'll be ending at 10. We'll be using boat rooms. It's going to be a phenomenal experience.
It is. And if you want even more hands-on time with us, or you want to learn from us, we're actually teaching a class at Kinky Salon's Kinky Campus. That's going to be on the 13th. If you want to come to that, the class is $10, and you can just slide in our DMs and we'll send you the link to get your spot for class. There's also going to be a small party as a part of Kinky Campus after the classes are done. So you get to learn about some Dami things from Dominus and Mixin, and then you get to put some of those things into practice immediately after at the party, if you so choose, and if folks consent to your play. There's a lot more stuff happening this month, but
in the meantime, in between time, those are the most recent things.
Oh yeah, I have some goals. I'm looking to have at least 2 BDSM and kink clients to have a session this month. I'm also looking for at least 2 act development sessions. If you're trying to get into burlesque and want some one-on-one time with me, help me reach my goals, please. Yeah. Because it'll help you too. Thank you.
And like I said, like we said, holler in our DMs if you want anything else from us.
Right. Outside of that, we will be right back here
Next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday, we have some guests lined up for the next couple of months that we are excited about.
Man, we about to have some fun, y'all.
We're back and we're ready to play and chat. So this has been the Dom Experience Podcast.
I'm Dominus.
I'm Mixon.
We are brought to you by R.A.R.E Media.
We
Peace
will
out.
see you next week, unless we see you in person.
Sooner.
Have a good night.
Peace out, y'all.
Wanna get invited, play the game and come along. We going hard and getting lit until it's dumb o'clock. So come on over, hit it harder, yeah, it's time to rock. Hey, love, under the dark light, dancing into midnight. Your hands trace my outlines, slip to my waist, time for on the floor, right? DJ drop the low, low bass line, give me the solo.